How are we all doing, everyone? And welcome to the Little Wood Forest here in Slane, County Meath. Now, not far away from where I live. So, today is the first re-installment of the podcast that there's been in probably the best part of 2 years, I would imagine. And the reason why we're in Little Wood Forest is because I wanted to try and bring a different aspect to podcasting that I haven't done before. And one of which is to simply just get a coffee and go for a walk in the woods, which is what we're going to do here today. So just before we go, I'm just going to get set up here for this. So I'm going to sort out where you guys are situated, move it around a small bit. Now, so basically the aim is to view this beautiful little forest. Now this forest actually, it isn't that big at all. It's I don't know, what would it be? Maybe about 10 acres, I'd say, overall. But the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, and really the reason why I wanted to come out here and film in nature, I suppose, is because this is probably, if not the most cherished thing that I get to do by myself or with anyone else, whoever likes to come. So the reason we go for these walks is because no one, I suppose, really chats about how much a walk can benefit you. And for me, especially for me, they really, really clear my head. Like, you know, if I need to sort myself out, I just come on a walk. Now, we will sit down here eventually and just have a chat and sip the coffee and tell you the cracking going on. But yeah, this is what we wanted to do. And with these podcasts going forward, I actually want to change the way I do things. So this particular podcast, so this is called the Drive with IG podcast. So this is going to be, technically speaking, separate from our original podcasts that we've already done and based it around driving and stuff like that. Now, there will be elements of driving in these podcasts going forward, but just not every one of them. I wanted to kind of do this one kind of as a solo project for me, because over the past 2 years especially, you guys know, if you watch the main YouTube videos and TikToks and stuff like that, that you know that I'm self-employed now. I work for myself. So a lot of my channels, that what I use, or all my social media platforms, are all truly based around my business now, which, don't get me wrong, is like the best thing that could ever happen to me at the moment. But with this particular outlet, this podcast, I want to make this one a bit more personal, a bit more me and you. Forget about the business for 5 minutes and all this crack, you know. But obviously these videos technically are sponsored by my company, which is grantautohouse.com, where we supply truck interior, curtains, accessories, cleaning chemicals, products, basically anything automotive. We kind of look after that. So this podcast will be sponsored by Grant Auto House. You'll see a little banner at the bottom of all these podcasts, just because that is what is making this podcast possible, is the fact that I am self-employed and I can now take time out of my days to do this professionally. So I'm delighted to say that. Now, not that the podcast isn't meant to be a professional endeavour, this is just something I like to do. So yeah, it's just, I wanted to go for a walk in the woods and just chat with you, and hopefully you get to pick up the sounds around us, because it's slightly raining now. It's, you know, I can hear birds singing. I get this fresh smell of fresh oxygen coming out of these little woods. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, the topic of today's podcast and what I'm going to speak about is the perspective of my life, and basically trying to talk to people my age or younger, because I believe every single individual has their own perspective on life and what way people should do their lives, and, you know, what way their life is going, what direction they're planning on taking in their life. And I am 28 years of age. I am a self-employed business owner. I'm a married man now, homeowner, a few other bits and pieces. Now, I'm not saying all this to brag or anything like that. It's not about that at all. I'm going to just talk to you about my perspective on life, and you don't have to agree with me or disagree with me or anything like that. I'm just putting it out there that this is my perspective on what I'm thinking at the moment about just life in general, what's going on in your life, what your plans could be going forward, how you should probably treat relationships in your life. You know, just just chat, innit? Like, that's what I love to do. I love just chatting. And the reason why I'm doing this podcast solo today is because I find sometimes when you go recording these things, when you're with someone, you kind of go off track and you don't actually really get to speak about anything at all, which is, it's grand and all. I like having the crack, I like shooting the breeze, but at the same time, when you do want to talk, it's nice to not have any interruptions or distractions or anything like that. Have the first sip of coffee, lovely. So I'm gonna try and find somewhere to sit down. That looked like a nice spot to sit down, but probably a bit too close to the entrance. I'm gonna see if I can find somewhere to sit down and just have a chat. But one thing I wanted to do, so I'm gonna swap arms and see if you can see me. Sorry, this solo editing is difficult. So first thing I wanted to talk about was mental health. Now, it's not the direction that you think I'm going to go. I'm not going to be preaching to the choir here and telling everyone, speak to someone, all this crack, which obviously you should, but I'm actually going to offer you some advice from someone who was in my shoes of how I think you could probably cope a small bit better with it. Is that a doggy? Like your man hashtag Brady. Hello, doggy. So basically, right, mental health, especially among people my age, I find that now you don't have to agree with me on this. This is only my perspective. Before I start, I'm not trying to offend anybody or anything like that. This is not like that at all. This is a thing where this is my perspective. You can listen to me or not listen to me. It's not an agree or disagree kind of situation. This is just my perspective. So I find, especially with people my age and younger, so I'm in my late 20s now, but I know a lot of people in their younger 20s would get depressed. And I think, especially in your younger 20s, unless you're suffering from grief or trauma, I think your depression is coming from boredom. And if not boredom, probably situational depression. And what I mean by that is that, you could be in a group of friends, let's just say, and your friends are bums for no lack of a better reason. Like, they, probably don't have a full-time job. They're probably smoking the wacky backy, sniffing the Colombian powder, all that kind of crack. And you nearly find yourself forced to be in the situation that you're in. And, that can obviously lead to depression. And obviously if you're doing a lot of drinking and stuff like that as well, it's obviously going to have a big effect on you. So that's what I would call a boredom or / situational depression. The next kind of depression is that, like, it's usually around young males, right? So I can't speak on females' behalf because I'm not a female, so I'm only going to talk about specifically young males in this. Now, another kind of depression males would have is boredom related, which I mean is that, like, they don't really know what they're doing. They don't have a woman, or they do have a woman. Some of the lads that have gone away with themselves do have a woman or a significant partner, should I say, because it's 2024. And they find like that, I don't know, I can't speak on their behalf, but what I assume happens is that they think that they're doing nothing with themselves, so they, I don't know, find that their only way out is to do, what depressed people do, unfortunately. And I'm just trying to come in and say, well, right, okay, you can feel like that, or you can just figure out something that you would love to do, or is there something that might drive you a small bit? Because I find that seems to be the biggest problem overall with most depression cases. Now, I'm not trying to delve into anyone's particular case. I'm not trying to fucking talk on anyone else's behalf or nothing like that, so just bear with me when I'm saying this. So yeah, I just think that happens a lot with younger lads my age, and I know a couple of lads that have done so in similar situations, so I do know people that this has happened to. Now, where will we go? So we can either go this way down here, there's a little trail down there, or this way. I think I'm going to go this way, go the path of least resistance. Anyway, sorry, what was I saying? Yeah, so I feel like lads are, in a situation where they feel like they're doing nothing with themselves. So my biggest advice would be, especially if you're not getting any exercise, do as I'm doing here. Get yourself out on your own, get yourself a coffee, and just go for a walk. Like, it's the best advice I can offer anyone. It has helped me to no end, like what this does for me mentally. Like, so usually I would leave the phone at home. I wouldn't even bring my phone. I would simply just leave it in the house, go out the door, and just spend an hour away from the internet, because the internet, man, it causes so much damage to your brain. Believe me, as someone whose business is online, I can tell you how much it affects you. And I know this sounds like so cliche, like, oh, exercise, this and that, but do yourself little small favours to, progress your mind to go on one direction, not backwards. Do you get me? Go forward, always, never backwards, or sideways, or if you wanted to. But I find that walking is the best thing. I know, like, sometimes you're gonna go out for a walk, and when you go home, you're like, oh, it didn't feel like it made much difference. But just make it a regular thing, Make it a regular thing. Another thing you should probably start doing is looking after yourself. What way do you look? Go get a new haircut or something. Try something out, give it a go. Don't be afraid of what other people think, because at the end of the day, no one actually really gives a fuck about anybody. From my experience anyway, I'm 28 years old. I've been doing social media, like online stuff, making an idiot on myself for probably 7 or 8 years now. And I haven't really once let anyone affect me by saying things. Now, I could be different. I never really gave a fuck what people said. And I know people say, oh, I don't give a fuck. But genuinely, I couldn't care less what people think. It doesn't bother me. Like, I know what I'm doing. I'm fairly strong-minded that way. But jeez, I'm getting out of breath now, talking too much shit. Anyway, what I mean is just have something in your head that you're going to do. Make a plan to just do things. And then just, like, once you put down a list with loads of things to do, or you don't even have to have loads of things, start with one thing, then implement 2 things, and go forward from there. Get a new haircut, get on and buy yourself a new pair of jeans. If you're struggling financially, go get yourself a Saturday job, or an El Nixer, or anything, because there's no end of people looking for help at the moment. And if you're willing and you just show up on time, you'll get that extra few bob in, no problem. I don't see why people nowadays think that they can't make any extra money. There is so much extra money to be made out there, and that is another reason as well. Financially you can be a bit depressed because you feel like you're not making enough. And I know some other younger lads have young families and stuff like that, and they're trying to make the most between work-life balance and time. But at the end of the day, lads, this world is ran over money, so if you need a few pounds, there's only one way you're going to go get it, and it's not sitting on your fucking arse anyway, that's for sure. I'm not assuming that you do, I'm just saying that's the crack. So yeah, that's me speaking on depression. Now I could go more articulate on this, but I probably shouldn't be walking and doing that. I should probably write down a few notes. But yeah, if anyone feels that kind of way, lads, obviously reach out and talk to someone. That is a big thing that I would advise doing. And speaking from personal experience, I have went to, I would say over my lifetime, probably about 20 or 30 counselling sessions, for various different things. I'm not diagnosed, but I would take a very, very significant guess that I have ADHD, just from the traits I have, and I can't focus, and my brain is constantly going a million miles an hour. I'm constantly thinking of the next thing, big idea, going through phases, blah, blah, blah. That's me all over. But look, come here. I look at it now as a trait to my personality. So, I've done 20 or 30 counselling sessions. One of probably the best things I learned over those counselling sessions was a thing called CBT, which is cognitive behavioural therapy, right? And what that means basically is that it teaches you to, like, just say, right, your girlfriend's out there breaking up with you, or you're out on the piss, right, all last weekend. You're absolutely fried come Sunday, Monday, whatever day you finish drinking, right? And, let's just say your dad walks into the bedroom and goes, what are you at, you fucking useless cunt? You're out in the beer all weekend and not a pot to piss for yourself. Your room's a state, this and that. Then he slams the door, or he's having a physical altercation or something like that, right? Imagine just something like that happened. Next thing you know, it's all boiling up inside you. You're like sad, upset, angry, all this, and then you just react, I used to do that a lot. I used to react straight away. No, don't get me wrong, I would I would have a bit of a temper in myself, but whatever, like this, at least I know I do, and I can kind of counteract that because I know I have it. But does this look like a nice spot to sit down? No, not particularly. Anyway, sorry. But just imagine that situation has happened, right? And you're still intoxicated from drink, even though you're like sober, but you have the hangover, the drink is still in your system. You're feeling angry, you're feeling rage, you're feeling this, you're feeling that, and you're blaming it on your father. It was his fault because he came in and shouted on you. But then when you actually step back and realise, you go, no, he's actually trying to help me, but maybe the way he said it isn't probably the best way to go about it. There's a little tree stump over here, I'm going to go sit over here, this looks nice, take a walk. But yeah, imagine that's after happening and he's after having that argument with you, but he is actually trying to help you, believe it or not. This looks nice up here, it's a big stump. Would you believe, actually, I did recently, I'm after doing a forestry course because I want to go drive forestry machines. Maybe not right now, but just it was always kind of a dream of mine ever since I watched David Cuddy when I was a good bit younger. So anyway, sorry, I just noticed different things like drains and stuff like that being put in. Anywho, is that a nice sea? No, not particularly. Anyway, hang on, I'll put this down. I will stop walking for a second. Bear with me, lads. We're doing a one take on this. People are probably going to think, who is that weirdo in the bushes making videos? Anyway. So anyway, just imagine that that's happened, right? That you've had an argument with your outlet and he's gone mad at you for doing this and that and not cleaning your room and stuff. Years ago, I would have instantly reacted if something like that had happened. I would have started putting holes in walls with my fists, thinking I was a big hard man, all this crack, and like falling out with them, making the situation way worse by reacting straight away to what they're saying to me, even though they're talking sense, but you don't know it yet. So, you know, you make your situation worse, then you go out, you fall out with them, and then you go out and you go back out on the drink again because you don't know how to cope with your emotions, you know. But the one thing I would say what CBT has taught me is that if you're in that situation, CBT is basically like, you need to actually sit with yourself for a minute, take a deep breath and actually go, what am I feeling? Like, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling upset, you know, I feel annoyed that he said that to me. But then you have to actually take self-accountability for it. That's the brilliant thing about CBT. It actually goes, right, okay, what could I have done wrong here that has made this go worse? And I know people would probably say, oh, you know, this and that, but like at the same time, your own actions put into forth the situations in your reality. Like, that should be put on a t-shirt, actually. I just thought of that. But CBT has taught me that. So yeah, that's one thing I would recommend definitely going down. Is CBT is a brilliant thing to learn. And I remember when I was first learning about it, I was probably 23 or 24. And at the time I thought, this is fucking nonsense, you know. I didn't thought it made sense. But now the older I get and the more situations you get put into, you realise how much that actually helps. It's actually class. What else was I going to say about it? Yeah, so CBT, a great thing to learn. And one thing I would say about therapy and stuff like that is that when you go for the first time, you'd be nervous about it or whatever, but you know a good therapist is that if you go in and you're chatting to them and they don't speak barely fuck all, you're doing all the talking. If you find yourself doing that and letting down your guard, you're in with a good therapist, because they are literally just there to listen. They're not there to ask you questions. They're not there to criticise you, all this crack, right? So I've had this over the years. I've had two or three of them. I had one really, really good one. I can't remember her name, but she was in Deleek somewhere. She was fucking class and helped me a lot. Like, if anything, it helped me be where I am today. So I greatly appreciate therapy, and that's why I would definitely recommend doing it. But therapy as well, because I was working on it all the time, I had to go private, so like every session was like 100 quid. So as you can see, like after 20 sessions, like it's a lot of coin. So as you can imagine. Anyway, that's, yeah, you know, that's one thing. And then like set yourself little goals then as well. And one thing I can recommend to a lot of lads is that, like, if you're in a job that you hate, fucking leave the job. Like, just leave it. I know that might sound like, oh, you shouldn't be telling people to leave their jobs if they don't like it. I'm speaking from personal experience. So, you know, like I used to, if a lot of you have followed me previous YouTube endeavours and stuff like that, you will have seen that I used to drive lorries and stuff, right? And I know this podcast will eventually be a small bit about lorries going forward, but being dead honest, guys, how do I say it? I genuinely didn't really like the job, right? Not that I didn't like the job. I loved the gear. I loved the community. I loved actually setting off for a couple of days with a clear mission. But the actual day in, day out kind of thing, I just didn't like it. Genuinely, I didn't like it. Not that it was nothing to do with the people I work with. It was nothing to do with the gear I had. It was nothing to do with any of that. But I just genuinely, I never really set out to do it. So it was never in my forecast of what I wanted to do. I've always wanted to do this kind of work, camera work. I don't know what it was. Just grew up, knew that's what I wanted to do, and now that's kind of what I do. It's mainly most of my business now. So I'm trying not to see if there's anyone looking at me in the bushes, acting like who's the weird fucker in the bush with the camera. But yeah, my advice would be definitely, like, if you're not happy in a job, unless you've got fucking massive financial commitments, leave the job. Just leave it, like, because if it's not making you happy, you're not going to get any happier being there, you know. And especially, I've worked in some places, man, fuck me, they were toxic. I used to work in a warehouse years ago, and everyone in the office hated each other, right? Oh my god, man, it was like walking on eggshells every morning. And I would be if any guys know me, or a lot of people would know me personally, I'd be the type of fella to speak my mind. I have no problem saying how it is and what's going on and what should be changed or whatever. And I worked in this place, and every day you walked in, someone was just waiting to snap at you because you're the new fella. So they all wanted to take a tear out of someone because they couldn't do it for other reasons, political reasons, but everyone else that they all fell out with. And I worked there, I think, for about 3 weeks, and I fucking hated it. I was young at the time as well, and this was back in 2013, where, you know, there was fucking no jobs going at the time. Now it's not the same case today. There's literally, any desired field that you would like to go into, if you had any kind of confidence at all, you could get into it, like, within about 6 months. Like, there's no reason why you shouldn't. And that's why the internet, like what you're watching me here on, is probably one of the best tools anyone could ever ask for. So yeah, if you're not happy in a job, fucking leave the job, because it's just going to make you even more depressed and unhappy and fucking not, like, confident, do you know? I'm trying to think of where else I worked that I hated. Wasn't really many. Like, I worked with my dad for a long time. I didn't hate the job or anything like that. I didn't hate working it, but I just knew I didn't want to do it. So that was the main reason why I was like, I needed to get away from it. And plus my own business took off. It got really busy out of nowhere, and it gave me the excuse not to do it. Now I like doing a bit part-time. So my job consistently now, right, because I can only really talk about my own personal experiences. I can't expect to talk on someone else's behalf. But my general experience is that I like doing the truck driving, but maybe 1 or 2 days a week. I like cleaning cars as well, which you would all know if you watch the other YouTube channel. I like cleaning cars, but I only like doing that 1 or 2 days a week. I couldn't do that full time either, because my attention span is just constantly trying to get me out and get me away from everything. That's where I think the ADHD comes in, or potentially could come in, because I'm not actually physically diagnosed with it. Then I like doing customer service, like going out and fitting curtains. That is only really 2 or 3 days a week. Some weeks it could be 7 days. Just depends on what's going on. Or a couple of days I'm doing postage, and then the rest of the time I'm doing YouTube. So I like doing bits and pieces of everything. So the only person I could probably work for at the moment is me. You know what I mean? But I absolutely love what I do, because I have the variety of loads of different things, and luckily enough that the business is versatile enough that I can do all these different things and make it all work and make it pay and have a wage out of it and stuff, you know. So yeah, that's if you are in a situation where you don't like it, you don't want to be there, you feel like you're trapped. You're not trapped, not at all. If anyone you should take personal experience from is me. I've been in so many jobs. I've been in family businesses that you would think you have to be strapped down to the floor in that, but no, you don't. Like, and people are really, really understanding as well when you actually do break the mold and say, no, I don't want to do this. It doesn't make me happy. People are usually 99% of the time very, very understanding. So I just wanted to talk about that, and don't feel trapped. I know, especially in this day and age, a lot of people my age are all reaching out to try and buy a house. I literally have 2 or 3 personal friends that are really struggling at the moment because they are trying to get a house, but they feel like they physically can't. And it's a thing where all I can say to do is, when I was buying my house, is that, like, I literally worked 90 hours a week. Like, I did not stop. I did everything in my power to try and get the house at the time. And I remember me and my missus first went to go look at our house. It was January 2020, so before any of the COVID came in or any of the lockdowns or any of that crack. Lovely. It was before COVID and any of that crack. And I had, I'll never forget it, lads, I had €1,500 in my bank account. That's all I had. I had no savings. I had nothing. I was brutal at saving money. This is where having a great woman in your life or other significant other will really help you. I was brutal at saving money. I had no money, but I knew how to work. I knew how to just go to work and just fucking make as much money as possible. So that's one thing I'm really good at doing. I think a lot of people, me out loud will disagree. Go, you can barely get out of bed in the morning. Do you know what I mean? But anyway, I worked my socks off. I was doing a lot of hours during COVID, and then after about 11 months, we eventually had just the amount to get the deposit started and over the line, and we did it with the utmost help from my wife. Now, I wouldn't have been able to do it on my own. I don't think. A lot of people trying to buy a house now, very hard to do if you're a single person as well, and trying to get a deposit for a house on your own it's not. I wouldn't say it's easy anyway because I didn't do it anyway. But I know even for two people it was very difficult. But we did it in the end, and you will too. So just don't calm down yet. The only advice I can give you is just work like a donkey, because it's the only advice I can give you. And I know people say, "Oh, it's not meant to be, this difficult or whatever." Look, it wasn't designed to be easy. If it was designed to be easy, anyone could do it. Sometimes these things are difficult in life to weed out the people who can't do it. Do you get what I mean? Unfortunately, that's just capitalism, unfortunately. But yeah. Right, well, we do a little tour more of this woods. I'm going to finish this coffee here now and we keep going. If you're liking this outdoor style podcast, let me know, because I actually am going to do a good few more of them. I really enjoy this. I'll tell you where the idea of this came from. I was listening to, I don't know if anyone else listens to the Blind Boy podcast, speaking on our previous topic of depression. If you've ever dealt with any mental health issues, I would strongly advise you to go to listen to all of his podcasts. He does them all in separate little things, but he explains cognitive behavioural therapy in a really, really simple format where everyone can understand it, not in like so much gibberish that, I wouldn't understand it, put it that way. So I learned a lot from him as well. Listened to him since 2019 helped a lot. Anyway, the inspiration from this podcast came from the Blind Boy podcast, because he used to do a couple of outdoor podcasts and ASMR style ones where he used to sit by a river and just watch things go on and commentate about what's going on out there in the public, which I thought was a great concept. So that's where the idea for this came from. And I was like, do you know what? I don't want to be confined to a studio, whereas a studio, like, every time you go back to watch the video like you will this time, there'll be a different kind of a background, is what I'm hoping for. So if we can do more outdoorsy stuff, that's great. And plus, I get to do my hobby, you get to listen to a podcast, and hopefully if you guys enjoy what I'm doing, we might organise a group to go and do a bit of walking and then have a bit of crack. Wouldn't that be nice? Anyway, finish this off. For reference, we have a cappuccino inside this. So this forest is like literally 2 minutes from Slane Village. Head out the N2 towards Cullen. Literally, petrol station's on the right hand side, Drummond's Mill is on the right hand side, and then up past the vets, and literally on the left hand side you'll see the entrance for a forest. This is where this place is. If you want to come check this place out, it's great for like a little half an hour walk. You could do 2 loops about make an hour out of it. That's what I would do. I've done it a good few times. Used to drive my motorbike up here and park up here and go for a walk. It was great. Anyway, finish this and let's go. Now, I actually can't even remember what way I got in here. I think it's this way. So we're going to go this way. Oh man, you just can't bait being out in nature. It's literally my favourite thing to do ever, other than sink a lot of creamy pints. Oh yeah, and if you're ever coming to Slane as well, speaking about it, because like my other favourite place in the world, which is a pub called Boyles of Slane. And I don't mind telling me good homies about it, because it's a pub that I went to in 2021 for the first time when I first moved here. And I met the owner, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything, but you know who you are, John. It was basically, I walked into the pub, never had a Guinness before either, which was, breathtakingly long ago, feels like. So we went to Boyles of Slane, me and my little brother. It was around Christmas time, 2021 I think it was, when pubs was open again, and went in there and just got absolutely welcomed with open arms, and had probably the best, experience outside family and friends that I've had ever. So yeah, I don't know, if you ever want to go have a lot of creamy, juicy Guinness pints and good crack, surrounded by lovely people. The pub is all ran by gorgeous people. All the people that work there are all the nicest people on earth. Go check it out. It's lovely. So, yeah, this place is really nice. Like, it's actually, if you look at it on the map, it's literally just a big field full of trees just off the main road. But I don't know, it's just the deep physical connection you get from being in a situation where it's so green. Now, I used to live inside a town, right? Drogheda, if anyone knows it, obviously. Yeah, you obviously will. I used to live inside Drogheda and I used to go for walks there, and I never realised the noise, right? I moved out here 4 years ago now, nearly 5 years ago, and I live in a little cottage in the countryside, right? No neighbours really either side, off the main road, well off the main road. And I never realised how much noise affected me as a person, right? Now, I did when I was younger, right? All my family used to think I was weird, right? I used to have this really intense problem of listening to people chewing. If I heard people chewing, it would actually drive me demented. So I couldn't listen to people chewing. My mother, right? Oh my God, I'll never forget this. People are going to think I'm weird now, right? But this is the truth. My mother used to have this clock in our kitchen, and it used to tick so loud, right? It was like, I was the only one who ever said anything about it, and everyone used to go, "What are you doing, you weirdo? Stop giving out at the ticking clock." You used to be sitting there eating your breakfast. There'd be no one else in the kitchen. It was like a big enough kitchen. It was like she got it all redone, and it was like open plan, right? So imagine the room was maybe 10 metres by 10 metres, big enough room, right? And all you could hear was that ticking clock. I used to take the batteries out of it and fucking hide them, because the tick was so loud. Just trying to see where we are. I can't remember where I am. There's two different paths. Which one will we go on? Comment real quick. Will we go left or right? Correct. So, this ticking clock, man, it used to be the loudest fucking thing in the house. And it used to drive me demented. So I used to take the batteries out of it and hide the batteries off it and everything. And another thing that used to drive me fucking bananas was the noise of me dog. We used to have a beagle in our house when I used to live with my mum and dad, and he used to bark like at anything. And it used to, I touching on the spectrum of autism here, but when he barked, I actually physically couldn't cope. I had to get out of the house. So yeah, I never realised how much noise affected me until I got older. And when I'm walking, let's just say walking here, what can you hear? Listen. Beautiful birds singing, and the slight drops of rain coming from the top of the trees. But when I used to live in Drogheda, lads, I used to go for these exact same walks. I used to thought I love walking in Drogheda, but I hated it really. The noise of cars going past me. Oh my God, lads, it used to drive me mad. And I used to go out for a walk, and like, for peace and quiet. And for me, peace and quiet would mean like dead silence. I love dead silence. Just dead silence. Don't mind birds and stuff like that. Birds are cool. Can listen to birds. It's grand. Like the sound of rain, all that kind of carry on. Like the sound of a crackling fire. That's all grand. But see, actually, like man-made artificial noise, it just drives me absolutely up the walls. So you'll see me a lot of times in pictures and stuff that have noise cancelling headphones on. There's another way down there as well. Loads of different paths. I think that way brings you back to the entrance. I can't remember. We're going to go this way anyway. No, actually. We go this way. Unpredictable. But yeah, anyway, what was I fucking talking about anyway in the end? Yeah, noise really affects me. So I need, if I'm going out walking, I need silence. I need quiet. I need to be around no one. And that's what gives me clear thinking. I go out for a good hour and I walk around and I get the sweat going. I don't really actually start feeling any endorphins or anything like that until about half an hour, 40 minutes in. So usually I would do, I don't know, maybe about 8 or 9 kilometres of a walk. And oh my God, the difference, me after having a walk, and the difference in sleep I get and everything, oh my God, it's class. So that's why I wanted to share this with you guys. Now, I don't particularly come here all the time. There's 2 or 3 other spots that I go to that I'll bring you to maybe on another podcast, but that's strange, isn't it? In the middle of the forest. Anyway, there's 2 or 3 other places I go to normally. Would be the lesser of all of them that I would go to. Maybe once every 2 months I might end up in here. Just out of convenience more than anything else, depending on what side of the world I'm on. But yeah, it's absolutely lovely. Oh, fantastic. I hope this is helping you guys. I hope this is translating across well on YouTube. Now, actually, speaking of YouTube, now that we're this far into the podcast, I can speak about stuff like this. So, I'm gonna make sure the coast is clear so no one thinks I'm a fucking weirdo with a big camera. Aha, yeah, no. So, see down there? You can just barely see it. That's the main road. I can see cars flying past. That is the other path that we can go on. And if you go down there, it basically brings you back onto the track that I started on. So I'm going to go back this way. I'm going to go around again the opposite way so we'll get the full hour out of this. So you're probably wondering why this is only on YouTube and not on Spotify or anything like that, because fuck Spotify, that's why, and fuck Apple Podcasts and all them fucking stupid fucking podcasts and apps. And you're probably like, oh, Jesus, that's intense. Yeah, because they drive me demented, lads, right? So I used to, on the podcast that you would have seen like a couple of months ago, and they used to all be on this app which used to be called Podbean, right? Which is your hosting app. So you used to put all your podcasts up there and it would distribute it out onto all the platforms. Like, obviously you had to pay for this service, which was annoying, which was 20 quid a month, which, you know, if anyone knows anything about podcasts, they don't really make you money unless you go do live shows. And we did do a live show, and we are planning on doing another live show. That's kind of why I wanted to get the podcast up and going again, because I love doing that. Very stressful, but I love doing it. But I hated it being on Spotify, because every time I listen to a podcast, I have to watch it. Even if I'm not actually looking at it all the time, I would stick it on either the television or my phone, even when I'm driving. Obviously don't be on your phone and drive. What I mean is I'd start the podcast, set off, turn the phone face down or up or whatever, and just, you know, throw a glance at it every so often, see what's going on. Because you can't really tell. First of all, if you have a guest on the podcast, you can't see what they look like. So you have no idea what these people's faces look like, which is what, I don't know if it doesn't affect anyone else, but it affects me a lot. I'm like, I can't listen to it because I can't see what they're doing. Like, you know, I don't know why it is like that, but anyway, it is a bit pedantic, I know. And Spotify just used to try and make everything difficult. It's trying to upload a podcast onto it. It would upload it backwards or it would upload it sideways, or nothing ever stayed in order. So yeah, anyway, if you want to watch these podcasts going forward, here is the only place you'll be able to see them, YouTube. And I want to get talking about YouTube. I think I've covered it before on other podcasts, but YouTube, by far, if you're a creative person like myself, or you like making things, or you like filming and stuff like that, YouTube by far is the best platform in the whole world, because YouTube will eventually pay you after a long time of, you know, creating and all. I think it didn't start paying me until, I don't know, maybe 4 years in or something. So I did 4 years for nothing. But anyway, that was neither here nor there. Out of inconsistency, that's what happened. But YouTube, you can just see everything. And you don't have to have an account to watch it, which is the best thing. Unless it says it's not made for kids, then you have to make an account, I'm fairly sure. But, I just absolutely adore YouTube, and that's why it's here. Hate Spotify. Used to make everything very difficult. Everything was through a paywall. It was annoying, like, you know. So it won't be on Spotify, if you're wondering. It'll only be here. And it'll be here, whatever day this is uploaded, it'll be here at the same time every week. Because that is our aim this year, is to be really consistent. And if you know from my other YouTube channel, Drive with IG, the uploads are every Sunday at 7 a.m. So this year I'm trying to stay consistent, because it is, technically speaking now, my job to do this. So, but I enjoy doing it. That's why I do it. Did you get me? But this forest is absolutely gorgeous. See the way the sun comes in, and you can just see the light in the forest floor, and it's just like, I don't know, magical the whole way across. Other people probably don't really understand, but the immense peace and solace this brings me is, it's just so good for your soul, man. Getting out into this couple of days a week, absolutely delicious. A lot of people probably wouldn't live near anything like this, but best advice I can give you is just go be in nature a small bit more. It's the best thing you can ever do. And if you're like me, you don't really like noise and stuff like that, go somewhere that you're not going to see many people, or go during the week. So today is Tuesday, I think it's like 3 p.m. or something. I was away at the Tipperary Truck Show last weekend, and I was away for the Saturday and the Sunday morning. Sunday I came back, I was moving trucks around for my dad and stuff, giving him a hand because you can't really get drivers at the moment. Dublin's really bad for truck drivers at this current moment in time. So I was helping him, then I was driving for him yesterday, and then today I had a load of orders and stuff to do. So after all of that was done, I said, this is what I'm doing. I need some peace and quiet. So I come out to a beautiful forest and come talk to you beautiful people. So I think I'm just going to call it a day here now after all that talking absolute bollocks. But I hope you enjoyed it. If you would like to see more solo podcasts, obviously just anything that you would think you would like, lads, just leave a little comment down below. Obviously if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel as well, that helps us massively here. Like, you've no idea how much one subscription makes. Just helps us push out to people that are like myself or like yourself and get to see this and share it. And you know, there's nothing better than getting to share content with people that you know what I mean, or that you don't know, and then you end up liking the same thing. That's why the live podcast was such a brilliant fucking night, was because a lot of people that decided that they liked one particular thing, or like they liked the podcast, or they liked of me or what I did. Not saying that that's what they did, but I'm just saying, they collectively all came, bought tickets and came to see the show. And so everyone that was in that room were all there because they are in a situation where they all like the same thing. And that leads back to this whole topic of this video, was the depression thing. Surround yourself with people that you enjoy the same things with, and then your life changes. It's class. And disassociate yourself with people that are dragging you down, or you feel like are putting you in a worse situation. Anywho, so much for that Monday or Tuesday motivation. Folks, thank you very much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. I enjoyed making this. Come back again this time next week. We could have a guest. We could be in a different forest. Who knows? So yeah, I'll see you next week, guys. Thanks a million for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed. Good night. God bless.